Alright, let's take a look at example 2. Finding a limit. Find the limit of f of x as x approaches 2, where f of x is a piecewise function. So f of x equals 1 when x is not equal to 2, and f of x equals 0 when x is equal to 2. So we want, this is how you write this out using notation, we want to find the limit of f of x as x approaches 2. That's what we're trying to solve. We're trying to figure out what that is equal to. So the best thing to do is first of all to look at this from a graphical approach. So to try to graph this function. And I would start with a table. Okay. So let's start with this ordered pair here. It tells us when x is 2, f of x, which is y, so I'll write this as f of x, is equal to 0. So we got that one. Okay? Everywhere else, when x is not equal to 2, so when x is 3, when x is 4, when x is 1, when x is 0, when x is negative 1, the answer is f of x is going to be equal to 1. So let's take a look at this graphically. Okay, so when x is 2, f of x is 0. When x is 3, f of x is 1. When when x is 4, f of x is 1. We have the ordered pair 1, 1, 0, 1, and negative 1, 1. So we can see that the graph is starting to look like this. Now the question is, what if I pick values that are getting closer and closer to 2 from this way? Okay, so for instance, if I pick 2.1, that still would be up here, right? Or if I pick 1.999, that still would be right here, right? So basically there's going to be an open circle right there. So the graph's going to look like this. Okay, so now let's take a look at the limit here. So we need to look at the limit coming from the left and coming from the right. So first of all, let's look at the limit of this function as x is approaching 2 coming from the left. Okay, this little negative sign in the exponent position means x approaching 2 coming from the left, so coming this way. So as this is approaching 2 coming from the left, it's getting this limit of this function would be equal to 1. Okay? And let's look at the limit of this function as x is approaching 2 from the right. So now coming this way. The limit of this function as x is getting closer and closer to 2 coming from the right, again, that's going to be approaching 1. If the limit of the function as x approaches some number coming from the left and the right, if those values are the same, then overall we can say the limit of this function as x approaches 2 would also equal 1. For whatever reason, if the limit coming from the left or the limit coming from the right, if the limit gave us two different values, then we would say the limit doesn't exist, which I'm sure we'll do some of those today.